Welcome back. So now you've discovered how tags work in HTML, and their elements work in HTML, and their basic the components of them, and what you can do with tags from a basic level. Today we're going to go back up a little bit and look at the overall structure of the HTML and how that's viewed in the browser. I've simplified our HTML back to a very basic example, uh, with, and so we can emphasize what we want to look at. So we begin with doc type, HTML. It's HTML5's header. Notice it has no closing tag and no content. That announces the document type that the browser is looking at. It used to be more elaborate, but HTML5, which is our current browser standard, has cut back on the complexity of that by a lot. Then we give again the HTML tag. And notice this is an enclosing tag. It begins here and ends here. And then within HTML, there's two major components. You can think of HTML as an inverted tree structure, with HTML as the trunk and then two major branches, the head and the body. So the head tag is information up here, and we use it to store meta information. That's information that's meant to convey some information to the browser about the content that it's to interpret. So one of those meta tags are very important is the char set, UTF-8. UTF-8 is one encoding of Unicode. Unicode was a standard adopted in the mid-90s to be able to be a code page representation of all living languages. It didn't quite reach that ambitious goal, but it came close. There's been later versions of Unicode, but UTF-8 covers most languages, including Japanese. So we can see our Japanese text here. We have a Unicode editor in Visual Studio Code, so we can correctly portray Japanese language characters directly in it. And because we've categorized our char set as UTF-8 in the meta information, the browser knows how to interpret the characters that it reads over here and correctly interprets it. So UTF-8, most pages now are UTF-8 pages for worldwide language support. The next meta tag that we encounter has to do with the viewport of the browser. That's the visible screen and how it relates to the window. We'll visit that later when we look at React. And here, the title, another piece in the head information is the title of the document, and that shows up in the major tag here. So head, that's one major branch, and then the body itself, and that's most of the page that you'll be working on that the user sees and interacts with down in here. So we're going to look at a little bit more meta information in a commercial site. So I did a Google search for news sites, and I want to take a look at the ABC News site here. Notice this description: your trusted source for breaking news, and etc. And we'll take a look at this site. And here it is. We'll right-click and do View Page Source, and we'll bring up the HTML that makes up that page. So this HTML was rendered by the browser, and what the browser initially saw was this. So doc type HTML, we know we're looking at an HTML5 document because that begins like our HTML5 document over here. It actually begins very similar. So we have the HTML tag here, and we know that several thousand lines down below will have the end HTML tag at the end of this file. But here's our head section, right? That begins the two major branches. And here we have the title that appeared in the title up here, and you can see that in the browser. And then description. So here it is here, and that's remember when we did the initial Google search, that was the Google search that was the text that showed up in the Google search underneath the major link to this website. So description is very important, and other information about these meta tags that is important. So this is how the browser is interpreting the character sets on this page, but a lot of this other meta information is for other computer programs that are scanning. Web crawlers like Google, when it's indexing websites, can pick up this meta information and know how to categorize this web page. But you can see things here for Google, also for Facebook. I think OG has something to do with Facebook here, Twitter, etc. All of these meta information in the head page here are to enable link sharing so that the links look good when they appear on these social media sites. And if you think you're supporting a commercial website, you want to be found, you want to be understood. So all of this information is so that their automated programs can make your website look as good as possible in the website. So let's look for so what else do we see in the header information here? So here's some JavaScript, and we'll study JavaScript. JavaScript is the programming language for the web. It's what makes web pages interactive. And we scroll down and see a ton of JavaScript, and then we see start to see cascading style sheets. Cascading style sheets are the look or the appearance of the web. So HTML, the basic structure and the semantic intent of your site. Not concerned with really appearance at all. CSS concerned completely with the appearance of the site, and JavaScript with the interactivity of the site. So I'm going to do a search for the end tag here for the header section, and we'll find it. Here it is, at line 1558. So quite a large header section, and you can see right after that, here's a little bit style that's a little bit of CSS outside the header section, which is perfectly legal. And then we have our body tag beginning here. And that's the visible portion of our website. So that expands on our example here with essentially an understanding that the HTML page starts off with two major sections, the head section and the body section, and they branch off. And because those tags are completely enclosed with one another, you can imagine this as a major branch, and then within that they have sub branches, and those tags, as go from a paragraph tag from a header tag to a paragraph tag, and into individual emphasis tags or strong text tags. Those are finer and finer leaves of the tree that we're building when we build our HTML.